listening pleasure on SoundCloud and YouTube. The Podsters, episode 26.
Welcome back, Podsters, Podsterinos. It is time to be Podsters today.
Let's stir some shit up.
I want to stir some shit up today. And I'm calling out bullshit early right now.
Bullshit.
Because I am so, how you say, pissed or agitated.
Angry.
Just, I am an intolerable of dumb people. That kind of thing today.
What happened today?
Okay, so this morning as I was having my coffee, I was reading up on our neighborhood Facebook page.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And I'm just amazed at how people don't understand the concept of a fucking HOA.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing.
I mean, first of all, everybody knows what an HOA is, right?
They certainly should.
Well, to those of you who don't know what an HOA is...
It stands for Homeowners Association.
Exactly. And what it does is it protects the homeowners, basically.
Yeah, you could say that. It protects the home. It does a lot of things. I mean, the fees you pay into it, part of it goes to maintaining public, or not public, but like the general
areas and stuff like that. Like,
if you have a pool area or a little kiddie park or stuff like that in your subdivision.
Or like at the entrance when they have all the greenery and stuff like that.
They make sure that all that gets maintained.
Right.
And then they also have a bunch of rules.
Right.
To protect the homeowner, the values of the homes, and also to make these neighborhoods look nice and decent.
And stay nice. Because, for the builders here in our area, they're still selling houses like crazy.
Yeah, they are. It's still a developing subdivision.
And so this has to be a selling point. Like the houses that are already here have to be a selling point as well.
Right.
And so if those houses look like shit, if it looks like, a couple of neighbors haven't mowed their lawns in, a couple of months.
Or they leave a bunch of crap and stuff out.
Or over-decorate their front yards with cruddy junk.
Yeah, and just maybe not even decorate it, just put their boats and motorcycles and rusty old projects and stuff in the front yard. In the
garage. That stuff has to be like in the garage. And
yeah, it's got to be at a public site.
Yeah, it's basically making the curb appeal of the neighborhood look decent.
And basically make sure that people use the sense that isn't common anymore. But common sense?
Well, there is no common sense.
No, and because there is no common sense, the HOAs have to go out and enforce that people do what you shouldn't have to tell them to do.
Right. And that's part of the HOA fees is for somebody to, go out and regulate these rules and make sure that the rules are being followed.
Well, and also, I mean, no one that moves into an HOA can ever say that they didn't know. Because you get this whole, a book as thick as the Bible with the can and cannot do's.
Exactly. You go in, you're buying a house, you're going in knowing that there's HOA fees and why there are HOA fees.
And what the HOA will and will not regulate.
Right. And there's meetings that you can go to if you don't understand the rules or whatnot. Or if you want to, meet your neighbors, that's cool too. But it's all there for you. It should be understood that this is what you're going to have to deal with.
Right.
If you don't mow your lawn, don't be surprised that you're going to get a nasty little letter from your HOA saying, mow your lawn or else we're going to fine you.
And then if you don't mow your lawn, they send another letter with a fine.
Right. So, I mean, how hard is it to follow these rules and to keep up with your house, you know?
To me, we all know common sense isn't common, but to me, I don't understand people, and especially actually people of lower means and income that don't keep up their houses and yards and stuff, because it's a cost for you. If you buy a lawnmower, even if it's a cheapo $100 lawnmower,
Right.
if you don't have $100 is a lot of money. Why would you leave it out to just get destroyed within a year? I don't understand that mentality. But apparently, a lot of people think that that's how you do it. And that doesn't fly when you live in an HOA.
Listen, if you want to live in the ghetto and live like you're in the ghetto, go to the ghetto. If you want to live like trash, go live like trash somewhere else where people don't give a fuck what you do with your house, how many cars you have parked out in front of your house.
How long you let your trash and recycling can sit out on the street.
You know, if your neighbors don't care if you let your lawn grow up to a foot, by all means, go somewhere where you can do that.
Right.
And leave the people alone. You know what I mean? Leave the HOA people alone. They're just doing their damn job.
Right. But this person in particular you got pissed off with has proven time and time again that he thought that this was the ghetto.
Yeah, I don't know. You can't take the ghetto out of somebody.
And there's a couple of them here. You tell pretty quick when they start being all, oh, it's nobody's business or it's not a problem. Well,
this is my house. I could do what I want.
Yep, this is Texas. I can do what I want. Don't mess with me or Texas.
Yeah, that would fly at the trailer park or in the projects or something, but not in a community where you do have an HOA. And people rely on the fact that, you know, they want their houses to not depreciate, pretty much.
No, because I don't understand why you wouldn't want to. It's no big things they're asking.
Yeah. So if you don't want anybody telling you what to do, don't live in an area where they have an HOA.
Or follow the simple rules.
Yeah.
Like the rest of us.
That's all there is to it. Just think about it a bit. You know, that's all I ask is you think about it.
Bullshit, and shame on you if you don't.
Right. So I have to change the subject here and mention the passing of Anthony Bourdain.
I think we should mention the passing of Kate Spade as well.
Yeah, Kate Spade as well.
Anthony Bourdain is sad and tragic and all, but there was actually 2 people within the matter of how long?
A week? Within a week?
Yeah.
They're 2 days from each other or something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't even a week in between. So I think both of them deserve to be mentioned.
Yeah. It's sad and tragic how they passed. I mean, they both committed suicide. It seems that both of them were dealing with depression.
Yeah, I don't think you commit suicide unless you have some sort of a depression, whether it be like an ongoing depression or you're in a really depressed mind frame a shorter period of time for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. But I definitely think happy people, quote unquote, don't commit suicide. Yeah.
And let me tell you, I've kind of struggled with depression as well. And I am pretty much, I don't think I've ever gotten to the point where I've wanted to kill myself.
Uh-huh.
And I know that killing myself is wrong. Just because of my morals and faith. That really weighs a lot on my conscience at least, you know? So, I mean, I've never thought of suicide as an option or as a way out, you know?
Right.
But I did realize that, hey, I am depressed. I have these symptoms. And I myself have tried to deal with it and realize that it's something that I can't control myself. What do? I talk to my doctor about it.
Yeah.
And one of the things too is the reason I ran to my doctor as fast as I did is because I do know that depression runs in my family.
Uh-huh.
I know my mom takes depression medication, and I'm pretty sure my grandma should have, my mom's mom should have at some point. But, it's hard for people to, one, admit that they're depressed or dealing with depression.
Right.
And two, it's hard for people to go out and ask for help.
Definitely.
Some people may have the stigma of depression being like, it's a really bad psychological issue. And if people knew because of my status, quote unquote, not saying me, but I'm kind of talking in the sense of
I
like,
think you're talking more celebrities.
Celebrity
let's
status or something like that. But I mean, it could be maybe a member of a community that's got a high status in the community, like
right,
very well revered or something,
Well, I think unfortunately, not just here. I mean, first off, we can discuss healthcare and mental health.
Oh, don't get me started on that.
But I think that. Just general, wherever healthcare free or healthcare expensive, I definitely think that, especially the older you get, the more of a stigma it is in terms of the generational mentality of mental health or depression.
So you're saying that people, different generations of people dealing with depression, they somehow deal with it different ways their own, like.
I think, well, they did deal with it with a different way, but I think the perception within those generations of depression and mental health, the older you are, the more of a true stigma it is to say that, hey, something is wrong with me mentally. Mm-hmm. And the younger you get, and I don't see it as a bad thing, but I can almost see it as people born from the mid-70s and older. Mm-hmm. It's more of a stigma. It's considered very abnormal.
Yeah.
Where people who are born from the late 70s and onwards, it's much more accepted to say that, hey, I don't feel good. I'm depressed, or I have some sort of issue.
Yeah, something's going on. I need help.
Help, medication, therapy, whatever it is. Whereas, like I said, the mid-70s and backwards, that's a big. You don't talk about it. You don't just pop pills. It takes more, I think, for those generations to seek that help.
But I also think it's somewhat of a socioeconomic status too.
Well, that too.
That plays into a lot of
I think
how people deal with.
Well, and I think in the
mental
cases
illness
of
or something.
Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain, I think there's so much more to it when it comes to that quote unquote lifestyle.
Oh, definitely,
that
I
normal
agree.
people that look up to them. Because one of the things I've heard a lot, the one that's really been talked about, I think, is Anthony Bourdain. Uh-huh. Compared to Kate Spade, it was kind of mentioned on the news and that was it. But Anthony Bourdain is someone I think more people can relate to because he was more of a TV personality. Mm-hmm. And what I've heard from a lot of people is this whole, oh, how could he do it? He had everything.
Oh, yeah.
He had such a life. But I think that makes it harder to...
he had the best job in the world. I thought. I would want his job.
I think, yeah, for sure. But I think that's a perception. And I also think that with him, and I mean, let's get real. He had managers. He had people around him dealing with the business side of things.
Yeah, the whole production and business side of it.
And I think with that, it comes even more to be like, hey, don't talk about depression. Don't mention that you're not happy because we're selling the image of you're doing you're making everybody jealous by doing what
You have
everybody
this-
wants. You have everything.
You have this persona of being carefree and
Right. And I honestly think that if suicide for us that aren't depressed or, we feel okay, we don't feel that suicide is an option necessarily. I do think that the take home is that material have what everybody wants and have money, fancy stuff, and a good job. It's not necessarily the remedy for a happy life.
yeah, money isn't happiness.
Right.
You could be... I'm not saying that you would be a CEO or anything like that. Okay, let's just say that you're a CEO of a company and you're making millions of dollars a year with this company, but yet your life is in shambles. Let's just say that, hypothetically speaking, your marriage isn't going well. Your kids are flunking out of school. You can't maintain the expectations of your status. Maybe like, you have to pour out tons of money to private schools for your kids. Your wife needs a boob job. You need to get a better car and stuff, and you got to keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah, and I mean, knowing a lot of people that on the surface
and then you have to deal with your high, I don't know, profile job or whatever.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And knowing a lot of people that have that sort of
making that
status,
kind of money.
Well, making the kind of money, but also having that sort of public status or whatever. Yeah. Knowing a lot of people in that situation, most of them, I won't mention names here because of because of legal things. I think we'd have to check with managers and lawyers to mention names, but
yeah.
Very famous people that I do know have all said that the best days of their life, the times that they had it absolutely most fun and the greatest, was when they started out.
Right.
Which I think is food for thought, because here are these people that fly private jets around the world and own islands and God knows what, and they still say the best time of my life was when I was eating ramen noodles and trying to make it and getting the first big gigs, the first record. That was the prime time of my life. If I could go back to any time in my life, any period, that's the period. And I think that's pretty telling.
Yeah.
That like money and status actually don't buy you that happiness.
Yeah.
So I think that's a take home for regular people. The days when we feel that, I can't even afford to buy a new car, that my life sucks. That new car doesn't automatically grant you happiness by any means.
And I have to say that a lot of the times when I was feeling pretty down, I kind of coursed my way out of it by saying, you know what, stop it. Because there's a lot more people out there that have it a lot worse than you.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, snap out of it and do what you need to do. And like I said, it was like I had the ability of seeing what my mom's gone through, what my grandmother's gone through, and I'm able to determine, hey, this is more of like a genetic or hereditary thing, I think, than it is maybe just a psychological thing.
Right. And I think
because
that's
there's
the case
chemical
for some
imbalances
people.
where
I think maybe in Anthony Bourdain's case, if we're going to completely speculate, so please don't send any angry lawyers our ways. The fact that, he openly admitted to having had a lot of party days.
Yeah, he was living pretty fast in the 60s.
I do think that can create chemical imbalances that may even cause depression, or if you're already prone to depression, tumble someone deeper into it because of that chemical imbalance.
When you're used to, when you take these drugs, you're raising the levels of serotonin or dopamine and stuff like that, and you're constantly you're constantly feeling high or whatever, you're feeling that high constant, that's eventually gonna change the structure of your chemical balances in your brain. I mean, we know people that have kind of gone that way, and when they come out of it, they're like, hey, I stopped doing the drugs, but there's something going on now. I don't feel right.
Because all those levels are all out of whack.
Yeah, they're all out of whack, and they have to go on some kind of medication that will balance them out again.
Yeah, that. And then I think that it's being creative or being an artist is such a paradox. Mm-hmm. Because on one hand, you're supposed to, in the public view, be happy-go-lucky and just kind of thankful for what you have.
Right.
On the other hand, part of the force, even if you're not depressed, part of the creative productivity is to not be satisfied. I think the day anybody can say that, hey, I finished this masterpiece, that's the day you stop being creative, because where else do you go from there?
Yeah, exactly. And I completely understand, because I know, I don't consider myself an artist, but when I do paint and produce my artwork, I am my worst critic. And I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to, trying to justify if my painting is good enough for everybody else to see.
Yeah, and I think for if you already have like a severe depression, that state of mind doesn't help. I'm talking like Anthony Bourdain, because there have been TV snippets showing the whole that I have all this and yet I'm not satisfied. But I think that is in every creative person, that thing that you constantly have to improve.
Yeah,
or do
it's almost like
else.
an obsession.
It is. You always have
mull
to
over
raise the bar.
it,
You always. If you have 1 million, you really need 1.5. And if you've cooked French food, you really need to be the best at it.
Right.
Or you're going to go off and do something crazy crossover because that's a new challenge. But I think those challenges, like I said, if you're not in the right frame of mind, if you're not competitive about it to yourself, I think it can get pretty dark.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, I don't know. For me, I really don't have any faith-based reasons to say that suicide is wrong. I, in a sense, feel that it's suicide or not, we're all going to be judged at one point.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily see it as being condemned one to hell. But I however, for me myself, I couldn't kill myself. There's nothing in the world, I think, that would get me to the point of saying, you know what, let's just end it. I think I have too much
love for yourself.
Not love for myself, but I think just a fighting spirit, as in, okay, so all this went to hell, and now I'm at the bottom. To me, it's more of a natural instinct to, okay, let's fight back, let's get back up.
Yeah, and
but that's for me. So I'm not saying that it's right, because I can't. I guess my point, what I'm trying to say, is that I can't even imagine how it is to be in that mindset of where you one day. Well, I don't. First off, I don't think it's a one day you wake up one day and like, oh yeah, I think I'm going to kill myself today. I think it's way more than that. But I can't see myself in that mindset at all. So I can't really judge anyone.
Yeah, and what I think is, and from, I guess not that I've experienced suicide myself, but for those people out there that I know that have, it seems like they're dealing with their inner demons, and usually they don't really. The people that are dealing with these issues don't talk about it because they're so ashamed of it.
Yeah,
I think there's like a
there's
shame in it.
There's definitely, I think, shame, but it's also, I think that those people know that no one else can fully understand what they're dealing with. And that's what my whole point with the rambling before is, the whole fact that, I honestly can't put myself in those shoes to where it's so dark that the only way out is to not live anymore.
Yeah.
So I think it is hard for people to talk about.
And
it's kind of a random, I think it's a weird topic to bring up too. How are you bringing it up? Hey, I really feel like I want to kill myself.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing, but definitely if anybody out there is listening, feeling suicidal, I do think that talking to a professional is a good thing.
Get help.
And I really, like I said, I cannot fully relate to that frame of mind, but I really don't think there's anything in the world that is worth killing yourself over. I'm looking at it, of course, like I said, I can't relate to it, but I guess I'm looking at it from the standpoint, look, people survived the Titanic. There's people who survived concentration camps. Those are pretty brutal settings. Mm-hmm. And they came out alive.
There's always a way out. Yes,
I guess that's my point. From the darkest dark, there's always some sort of way out.
Yeah, and my piece of advice to people that are experiencing depression and suicidal thoughts and feel like you've hit rock bottom, let me tell you, once you hit rock bottom, there's nowhere else to go but up. Okay?
Right.
So get up, go talk to somebody, go call 1-800 number, a suicide hotline. And if you don't want to kill yourself, just talk to somebody. Talk to somebody on that suicide hotline and let them know, hey, I may want to commit suicide, or I'm feeling a bit depressed, or I'm having these issues and I may want to kill myself. Something, just explain yourself, tell somebody, and they'll point you in the right direction. I can guarantee you somebody's going to point you in the right direction or tell you, and I'm sorry if you get rejected at any point, which would really sadden me if somebody did. But bring it up to somebody, let them know, and maybe they'll be able to find you like free help.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff out there.
Yeah, the whole mental health care out there, it's not very accessible to people, I think.
No.
It's very accessible to people who have a lot of money, for sure. But I can guarantee you there's a lot of people in like, lower socioeconomic status that, is probably making minimum wage or something.
There's still help out there.
There's still help out there for people. You just gotta ask.
And I seriously think, too,
go to a clinic
you
or
just
something.
have to remember that, just like Michelle said, hitting rock bottom isn't the end. Hitting rock bottom is just how low you can go. And once you hit it, there's only one way out, and that's up.
Yeah.
So, call those 1-800 numbers. I know it sounds dorky and all, but please do.
I'm pretty sure like some churches have support groups or something like that. Or just look for support groups. There's tons of that kind of stuff.
I'm serious when I say I think just call that first 1-800 number.
Yeah.
Will get you far, because if anybody knows of the free support there is out there, it would be someone working that suicide hotline.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to get help, please.
And once for the last time tonight, do remember that rock bottom isn't the end. It's just a low point, and the only way from there is up.
Exactly. And I have to say is, like, the one piece of advice I have to say is, go find Jesus or something, because, maybe that's your way out. He's going to help you. He's going to guide you. And I don't know. I mean, if you don't believe in Jesus, I'm sorry. That's all I have to say.
Hey, whatever works.
Whatever works for you,
Don't matter really if it's Jesus, a comic book, music, whatever it is, I can guarantee you there's something out there for each and every one of us.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you. So,
wow, that was a heavy...
That was very heavy, yeah.
A heavy podcast. Do we have anything else to add?
I don't know. It's summertime and it's fucking hot out here.
That indeed it is.
It's time to start hibernating. It's time for my hibernation, at least.
Yes, we will go into hibernation, but you guys aren't safe. Once a week, we'll still podcast.
We'll be here for sure.
As always, you can leave comments. You can find us and like us on Facebook, or you can shoot us an email at thepodsters@gmail.com. Till next time, guys, we're heading off to try and stay cool. I hope you guys do the same. If you live somewhere where the weather is a little bit nicer than here, I hope you enjoy summertime. Till next week, stay cool, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.